All right, can you guys hear me now? Excuse me. All right, morning everyone. Sharing my screen for so today's topic is Facebook groups. How we can, as a marketing professional, one can use Facebook groups. Again, with the emphasis on 2020, given the fact that we have like a month and a half left, and also the growing importance of Facebook groups, right? Um, I also opened up the Q&A session here. So if you have any questions, feel free to raise them here, and I'll try to answer them during the course of this presentation. And if any left, we'll try to address them at the end. And if not, maybe we can continue the conversation over email as well. Right. So a quick overview of about NConnect. We are established in 2015 with a focus on providing data-driven marketing solutions to restaurants. Some of our clients here, and our platform is being used by social media companies as well as end brands as well. So having talked about that, we're gonna actually I'm gonna actually walk through some of the important aspects of why Facebook groups or what are Facebook groups, right? And um, I want to make sure we are only seeing the slides here. So I'm going to talk about like what are Facebook groups and what's the difference between page and a group, and how to make sure that you as a marketing person or as a brand can make the most of it, right? So again, if this presentation is also will be available for later use if anyone wants to share it on our YouTube channel, and you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Right. So, right again, in the common definition for Facebook group is nothing but like it's a set of people who actually have the same goal, or they're trying to find out similar habits or similar interests and all those kind of things. They basically come together onto this Facebook group, and over the reason for the importance is Facebook in the past few months have been focusing mostly as positioning Facebook as a common ground for people who actually have similar interests, rather than, and they're actually moving away from newsfeed, and emphasis has been or being laid um, on on Facebook groups, right? Here again, if you look at it as of now, again, these numbers are actually growing tremendously in terms of the number of people who are there. So they want to again position the groups as shared interests, as a kind of like a community, and that's what the primary focus has been. And given the fact that the changing in the algorithms, the importance of Facebook groups or Facebook groups increases over time, in terms of making sure that like this one, if one has to actually uh, make the best out of it, um, right? So I want to make sure that again, uh, given the fact that it's easier for us to create a group, be part of a group, and we're going to actually talk about those slides in a little while, right? Um, um, so again, we just talked about the algorithm change, right? Obviously, with any particular platform, be it Facebook, Instagram, or Google, the algorithm keeps changing, and over the recent past, this has been the change on that's actually has occurred in the sense that emphasis is being faced on sharing and trying to foster the relationships and communities for a Facebook point of view. And um, and again, this is being done. Um, Again from a overall algorithm change point of view, right? So we need to make sure that as a marketing person, you need to whatever changes that are actually happening from an algorithm point of view, one actually has to adopt to these changes. And there has been, from an organic standpoint of view, the reach is going down, right? These are some of the major changes that we have been seeing at Facebook. Organic reach is going down. The importance of news feed is going down. So if you publish something on your page, the ability for people to see the news or the updates or something like that is very low, in the sense that like it's going down. What I mean to say is not very low, but it's going down. And so that's why importance of making sure that like if you are part of an active group or something where if you see more like sharing it in a group or something, the reach actually of those posts have gone tremendously. For example, for one of our clients, we've actually done a post, this is an offer, and we tried to share it on few groups, and we've actually seen quite a bit of reach in there, in the sense like from a reach and engagement point of view, right? So given the fact that these changes, right, like if you actually have, one can actually adopt to these algorithm changes by simply two ways, right? Like you can either create a group which are around your products or services, or you can join a group wherein you are saying that, hey, like my company, for example, let's take a restaurant, right? Like if it is into healthy living, or like let's say a salad place, we're going to actually share that some of the examples in future slides as well. They can start creating a group or be part of saying, hey, how to stay active, or like what kind of menu items that they actually have on their restaurant can actually be serving the purpose of being active or staying healthy and all those kind of things, right? So if you look at it, like for example, the primary purpose, again, bear in mind that once you want to create a group, the common bind between all the people who want to be part of the group is that they share the same interests or same objective in terms of what they want to learn or share. It's more of a being like an active member of the community. So that's what Facebook wants to replicate on that one. Um, and again, like social pilot is an example for social media marketers, right, where they actually do a little bit in sense information about all about social media marketing. They are also like trying to create like some kind of um, sharing, knowledge sharing, and all those kind of things. And that's where, like again, if you look at it, the common theme, again, the objective being that like as a marketing person, you want to be part of this group because you feel others are like posting some content or sharing content or giving advice and all those kind of things that is more relevant to you as a person or as a group or as a brand. is another example. Mobile Monkey is all to do about chatbot, right? How to use Facebook chatbots, how to actually make sure that create a chatbot, or examples of others using chatbots for their own sake, and all those kind of things, right? So having laid down the foundation in terms of why you need the Facebook group, because of the algorithm changes, and also because of the changes in the landscape in terms of um, the Facebook newsfeed, also making sure that like we want to be either be part of a Facebook group, or you can actually create your own Facebook group. Again, bear in mind, when we say create a Facebook group, it's not just creating a page and just leaving it, or creating a group or leaving it here. We'll have more details in terms of like what you as a marketing person have to do, what is the kind of involvement, and whether it's a good idea to start a group, or join a group, and all those kind of things. It's basically the effort versus the effort investment and the return on investment kind of a thing that you would actually see from a Facebook group creating, and or joining a new group. So in terms of the groups itself, right, there are three kinds of groups. One is like a public group where anyone can see, anyone can join it. All the comments and everything is open for everyone, right? And the second one is basically it's the private group. Here, it's private group, or like only members can be part of the conversations. They can see the list of members who are part of the group, right? And again, this is restricted to the group members. And then the third one is basically the secret group, right? In this one, it is actually a private group, but when anyone searches for a group, these details are not actually shown in the Facebook groups, right? So obviously, as a marketing person, again, depending upon, like, for example, if you want to create a loyal membership or loyal members for your restaurant, you might want to create a private group because you're giving them the offers or deals or something like that. Whereas the public group is to do with, hey, I want to share the recipes of my restaurant, or like anything. And maybe a public group might be much more, because here everyone can see the content, and maybe when they see the content, they might be more interested in joining the group, all those kind of things, right? So obviously there's a trade-off between these three different kinds of groups. And as a marketing person, we need to make sure that what kind of group you want to actually start on this one, right? So again, here we're gonna, in next few slides, these are like very rudimentary, or like a way in which you can actually create a group. Obviously, what kind of group, the name, and you can also add few people to this group, along with whether it is a closed group. When I say a closed group, that means you as an admin should enable anyone who wants to join the group. As an admin, you should be able to allow them to join the group. And obviously, we're going to talk about the stage gating and all those kind of things. But so the very first step is just create a group, and making sure that you actually have the description, and why, if it's a location based, and all those kind of things. So you can actually hear, right, like you have a different types of groups names, like in the sense, hey, is this something like a generic group, or is it anything to do with learning or jobs, right? Most of the groups that we have seen, like buy and learn, I mean to say, sorry, this buy and sell groups, these are like vast, and these are like a flea markets which are out there on Facebook. But as a marketing person, so mostly um, your groups might be around social learning, or something to do with maybe gaming or something on those lines. But specifically, social learning would be the primary group type that you would like to add. All right, and then you can also there are few things that you can actually do in terms of how you can create, like, in a sense, like more, make sure that the Facebook group is in terms of like the what are the topics you want to organize in them, if there's any specific web address you want to do, and most importantly is you can link a group to your page. So, for example, for a few of our clients, what we've been trying to do is like, hey, like a pizza restaurant, right? Can we actually like we are linking it to it and trying to see if we can post like recipes around pizzas or pastas or something along and coupons and all those kind of things. And in some cases, what we also have seen is posting deals. Obviously, you as a restaurant marketing person, you need to make sure that if you want to create a group for a particular restaurant, you do not want to post anything else apart from your restaurant's own page information. But if you are a generic restaurant marketing person and you have 3 or 4 different restaurants in a specific group or a specific locality, maybe you might want to create a group where you're posting deals, and obviously not just deals but also other information which your clients will benefit, but at the same time you'll also create another avenue for your clients in terms of promoting their brand name and all those kind of things, right? Again, the group roles we talked about earlier in the when you're creating the group, you can make sure that there are like an admin. Admin is basically one who actually allows people to come in or other members into the group. And below that, you will actually have moderators, in the sense that whenever someone is posting content, you need to make sure that the content sticks to the guidelines in terms of whatever the objective is. Like, for example, you don't want people to start posting about selling and buying stuff on your pages if it is all about knowledge sharing. And you do not want someone posting indiscriminately about using their product or like hard selling and all those kind of things. So you need to, obviously, when you're making the group, you need to make sure all these guidelines are listed, saying that, hey, if anyone posts something, they will be warned and their content will be taken out, and if this is repeated for the second time, a warning will be given, and the third time the person will be out of the group, right? And obviously you need to make sure that these rules or whatever you come up with, everyone agrees to that and everyone follows those rules, right? So having said that, like, now we basically have laid down how to create a group and what are some guidelines in terms of creating the group. The most important aspect for this webinar is, hey, how you can use groups for your business, right? So again, we said, like, now there are 2 ways in which you as a business can use a group. One is you create your own group on Facebook, or you join like-minded, or it's a combination of both, right? End of the day, if you just think of yourself as a community member, you are doing good by creating something of your own, in the sense that, like, you are basically creating a group wherein you're inviting others to join the group. At the same time, you are a pillar of the community in terms of contributing something meaningful to other pages, other groups, so that way you can start promoting your own group, at the same time kind of providing the right kind of content on other groups as well, right? So 2 ways, actually you can say it's a 3 ways, right? Build your own, join others, it's a combination of both, right? And but before you start, obviously, as any, if you look at it at a very high level, right, this is nothing but your moderating or your kind of content creation, content aggregation, content moderation. All these things actually form a part of this particular Facebook group. So you need to make sure that, hey, is creating a Facebook group for me or not, in the sense that, okay, what kind of objective or what are the objectives for creating the Facebook group? Do you have the resources in terms of running this group, right? And what will be the return on creating the group, in terms of like how will you as a marketing person will be enabled to get the returns out of this particular group, in the sense that, like, for example, again, if you are trying to sell to restaurants, or if you're trying to get more restaurant clients, so is it possible for people to join, restaurant owners to join, like, for example, you might want to join a group around, or start a group around how to help restaurant owners, right? In the sense that, hey, if you want to do like a menu change, do this, like post something around like menu changes, maybe a simple menu modifier, or come up with an Excel macros that will enable for restaurant owners to find out what is the profit margins and all those kind of things. In the sense, like, obviously, you need to make sure that the content which you're posting on these groups is useful to your target segment, right? So again, make sure that whenever you are doing something, there has to be uh, there has to be a soft sell, in the sense that you are not selling your products or services, but you are sharing knowledge, so that the person who's receiving this knowledge, or like they're seeing your posts, they know that what you are selling, or like what you are not selling here, they can actually see through that and trying to come to you to kind of like saying, hey, like, if you are selling restaurant marketing services, right, or restaurant marketing platform, in our case, in MConnect's case, so our group is all about, hey, how can, and our target segment is like restaurant owners and social media marketing companies. So our goal is to make sure that the topics would be around what would be the ROI, how would you calculate return on investment for social media marketing platform, or how can you create like how can you create a social media marketing platform, right? How, like, obviously holidays are here, so what can you do as a restaurant owner to be ready for holiday season, right? Like, or what kind of Black Friday deals you need to make, or how are gift cards an added advantage for you as a restaurant owner or as a marketing company, and so on and so forth. So these would be the kind of topics that we as the MConnect would be promoting on our social media pages, or on our Facebook groups, so that we can keep track of all these things, right? And then obviously we don't want, again, as with any kind of content, it has to be a soft sell. We do not want to kind of saying, hey, my product is the best, you need to use my product, there is no other product than mine which is the best in the world, kind of things, right? You do not want to keep on talking about that, but rather than you want to say, hey, so these are the different products out there in the market, and this is how they compare. And obviously in that, you kind of actually have to plug in your product as well, right? Like, for example, in case of Sweet Green, they actually talk about all about fitness. They are not talking about their menu, they're not talking about anything else. They actually keep talking about, hey, like right now, obviously, what are your fitness goals, and how can you basically um, like, if your fitness goals is like to basically lose 10 pounds, how can you still lose 10 pounds and come to Sweet Green, kind of a thing, right? In the sense that they are, the main focus area is to lose 10 pounds, but at the same time, you can do that by coming to Sweet Green and having these like kale salad or avocado salad, right? Those kind of things, right? So having said that, like, again, we are talking about how you can use, in terms of, like, again, once you're clear in terms of your objectives for creating a Facebook group, right, you need to look at from a customer funnel point of view. In the sense, this is our A to A, we call this as a customer engagement model that we have proposed, or that we have come up with. And we say that, like, at every stage of these customer journey, your Facebook group can be used, in the sense that, hey, you can use a Facebook group to create awareness about your brand. Obviously, you want to create engagement in terms of your Facebook group members being part of the engagement, in terms of like suggesting and responding to queries and all those kind of things. And Facebook groups can and have to be used for acquiring customers, and then obviously in terms of like creating the loyalty and all those kind of things, right? So having said that, you need to make sure that again, taking this example of this Provi, right? Provi basically, if you look at it, they are selling high protein and low carb spreads, and that's their product. But they want to inspire people about, hey, how can you, what kind of exercises do you have to do, or what kind of food do you actually have to eat, and all those kind of things. And at the same time, so they are basically promoting their, in the sense, creating awareness about their brand, in terms of the different products they have. But at the same time, they're also creating this, the communityness, in the sense that they want to create this feeling of all those people who are very interested of staying fit, staying healthy, right? And who do not mind spending some money on their personal well-being, in the sense that, hey, I want to stay fit. That means maybe I'm buying equipment like steppers and all those kind of things, but at the same time I'm also investing money in terms of buying products like from Provi and all those things, right? And this in turn will engender obviously acquisition in terms of like acquiring customers who are very targeted segment, right? So if you look at the groups, right? By definition, groups are those people who have shared interests. So that means you are already reaching those targeted segment, and you are like trying to create the sense of like belongingness here. So by having these discussions, like for example, let's take, if you are a microbrewery, or if you actually are a bar with craft beers, right? You might want to start a group around craft beers itself, like in the sense that, hey, how are craft beers different from your regular beers, right? What kind of the beers are the best, right? And what are the different, obviously, you want to say that, okay, different brands out there that, and you can actually kind of rate them and all those kind of things. In the meantime, you can kind of talk about like, hey, if someone wants to visit a microbrewery, you can organize a trip by working with that microbrewery and saying that, hey, I want to be part of that particular craft beer, and all those kind of things. Again, bear in mind, when you're creating this, that means you need to make sure that you are creating a sense of belongingness. And at that point of time, what happens is maybe you will actually get more people from not your just locality, but going beyond the, because they feel that, hey, once you actually have a group of people who share that drinking craft beer is the best thing, then they will basically come to a restaurant, to your craft brewery, to kind of like have some fun time and kind of like create the cohesiveness that comes along with this particular Facebook group, right? Again, this is another Facebook group, right? Wherein we actually have, it's all about food lovers group and all those things, right? So what you need to do, and those kind of things. So there are multiple out there, right? So, but the bottom line is that, again, when you are creating a group, you need to actually have a very specific strategy, right? In terms of like why you are creating the group, and what is the purpose of this group, right? And then how you're going to actually make sure that whatever you are doing in terms of the content creation, in terms of event organization or anything like that, you need to make sure that you actually have a very targeted, like in the sense your strategy has to be, or your execution actually has to be aligned with your strategy. Um, right? So once you're clear in terms of, again, taking the example of the salads, right? Like, okay, your main group, your main aim is to make sure that you are targeting those people who are very health conscious. That means they eat well and they exercise. So that means these are the two things. And so you need to go after those people who are maybe hitting the gym or buying equipment or eating like all these proteins and all those kind of things, right? So once you have that, you need to think of, okay, these are the kind of content that is useful. So how can I generate this content, in the sense that you as a marketing person, do you actually have to generate the content, or can you actually get maybe a couple of others? Maybe how about starting a group along with a local gym or something, where you can be both admins, and one person is basically talking about from a perspective of the gym and all those kind of things, whereas the other one will basically be talking about from eating healthy and eating the right portions and all those kind of things, right? So that you can actually start like having, it's not just you need to find maybe a co-marketing or a co-conspirator kind of a person who can be part of this. And obviously you need to make sure that who are our partners in this particular group or Facebook group building, they actually share the same vision in terms of promoting the wellness of the customers, right? That's where your group rules comes into play, right? In the sense that, hey, making sure that you have very specific, you're not basically promoting something else like, hey, cheesy burgers or something else in that particular group. Rather, maybe something like, hey, what are some cheats, like in the sense like that one can follow, like for example, hey, if I eat a cheeseburger, what should I do in order to basically make sure that the next 5 weeks you cannot cheat on your diet or something like that. Again, just giving some random example here, right? um, uh, so the group rules are very, very critical, because if you do not have rules and people start posting something, and all of a sudden you say that, hey, you cannot post it, you do not want to have some kind of a discussion in the forum saying that, hey, why can I not post these things and all those kind of things. So that if you can lay down these rules before the start of the group, so that way it's easier for you to kind of say that, okay, going forward, any content has to be around social media marketing, period. Anything apart from social media marketing, if your group is all about that, even if someone wants to post about print media or something like that, you can always say that, hey, this is only for social media marketing, and any other things, please, this is not the right group, and you might want to like delete the content and all those kind of things, right? And obviously the right target audience is also is crucial, because like when you're saying that, taking the example of social media marketing, you want to make sure that who joins the group are people who are students who wants to learn about social media marketing, people who are already who are social media marketers, or someone who's like trying to implement it and looking for social media marketing people. So you can actually have some kind of questions for these people, saying that, hey, are you in any of these three categories? If yes, obviously you need to have some terms and conditions saying that you cannot post these things, you need to make sure that you adhere to these rules and all those kind of things, right? And the most important obviously is the value creation we have been talking about, right? End of the day, if someone is joining M Connect's marketing or restaurant marketing group, these people are actually interested in knowing all about restaurant marketing, what they can do, what are the different ideas. Like, hey, holidays, again, I give you an example of holidays are coming up. How can we basically use that, right? And then if you actually take as a restaurant person, or a restaurant, or like, let's take a pizza restaurant, right? People who wants to be part of that particular pizza restaurant, maybe it's very limited, but they want to know about the deals, they want to actually want to know about pizza making. Hey, if I want to, or the pizza toppings, right? Or why gluten free is better than non-gluten free, or gluten, right? Those kind of things, like, right? So end of the day, maybe if it is a generic restaurant for like pizza, maybe the topics might be very limited, or it's all about like someone who wants to do with maybe kids eat free coupons or something on those lines, right? So you want to look into whether starting a group is, first of all, is viable, and then obviously once you start this analysis in terms of like, is there enough content for you to create that, right? Like maybe you might want to create as a pizza restaurant, so people who wants to have fun, maybe you can actually have if you are actually a BYOB place, maybe you can actually work with the local breweries or someone else, right, to create the group. Or maybe you can actually have like a cross promotion between you, brewery, and maybe a bounce house or something like that, where it's all about like, hey, if you are looking for a bounce house ideas or like some party ideas or something like that. Again, I'm kind of like giving you some ideas in terms of like what should be the primary motive for you to create a group if you're a restaurant owner, or for that matter any particular marketing professional, in terms of creating the right objective, right? Again, make sure that because if anyone can post anything without moderation, that might lead to chaos. But at the same time, if you cannot if you keep on clinging to saying that every post has to go to you as an admin, then it becomes an hassle. You'll become a bottleneck, in the sense, if you have 100 posts, then your entire day will basically go looking at those 100 posts, right? So you need to have a balance between a moderation and the ability to kind of like post freely. So that's where your moderators will come into play, saying that, hey, are these moderators like share the same values as you are, and whether they can actually be interested with us. Because end of the day, we are saying that this is basically an information highway kind of a thing, in the sense like people are coming to the group to make sure you have the right you basically have the right content, and that's where the value of this particular group is, right? Again, we basically at the same time, now that we also have something called a group quality, right? In the sense, this is a very generic kind of a group quality metrics that Facebook has come up with, where they obviously this is something to do with violations at the Facebook level, in the sense that you are not posting any content which is deemed undesirable, or which basically fake news, or which impacts other groups and all those kind of things. So this is like some kind of a metric which Facebook has come up with, and it's again very generic in nature. Again, we've talked about like why Facebook groups, because it's all about the communities, right? And the community wants to learn, they want to basically get more information from others or share information. So you need to make sure that the sense of belongingness is there, and no hard sell, period. If you are trying to hard sell, even you as an admin or any of the members, you need to make sure that's not the case, and those things have to be stopped right there and then itself, right? So now we basically talked about, hey, what kind of content do you actually have to create on Facebook and all those things. Now, at the same time, we calculate like, hey, what are the returns, like in the sense like, what returns can you expect from a Facebook group, right? And obviously, there are like group insights that you can actually look at, and it will available once you actually reach these 250 members, and you can actually click on details about, hey, how many members are there, when is the popular days, and all those kind of things, and what is the engagement you are getting, and all those kind of things on that. The typical insights data that you would actually get on a Facebook page, right? Obviously, from a content perspective, if you look at it, whatever content you are creating on a Facebook page is the same as like that. Once you create, you can go with videos, like for example, giving mConnect as an example, right? For this particular webinar, we could go live on our Facebook group, saying that, hey, this is like a webinar for restaurant marketing and all those kind of things, right? So different kinds of content. Obviously, it boils down to the fact that like, hey, what kind of content can you generate? Because to us, it's nothing. Facebook group is nothing but like another channel to publish or to showcase your content, and making sure that if you are again a restaurant owner and you want to create a group, you can actually showcase videos in the background saying that, hey, how do you make a particular dish, or what is the, how does like maybe you can post something about like an 8-hour shift of a front end staff in 30 seconds, what they will do when they come in, and all that compressed into one particular video, so that when your members see this content, for example, like someone who's been working 8 hours, running around constantly, managing so much of this one, they are bound to have stresses and all those kind of things. So a customer who's actually seeing this particular video, they would actually have an empathy towards this particular front staff or the person who's serving them, saying that, hey, if there's a small mistake, we can obviously and if that particular customer is courteous enough, you as a customer can understand that this person, like you come at 8 o'clock in the evening and you've seen that video and you understand that this person has been working since like 2 o'clock, and he has or she has 2 more hours before the close, and after the close they have to do something else and all those kind of things, right? So again, obviously the content is, again, that's the bottom line in terms of like making sure the content you actually have is this, right? You can also have these watch parties. It's been growing in relevance in terms of any updates or anything like that, or even games and all this stuff that you want to do. You can also, for example, we talked about the different kinds of groups, right? Group types. So if it is a learning unit, you can actually create some, if it is all about learning, you can create some units in terms of like, hey, chapter 1, chapter 2 kind of thing, where people can actually, when they come to this, they can actually have basics about, like, for example, if it's like how to open a restaurant, when to create a business plan, or like, for example, again, I'm talking about restaurant owners, right? What kind of financial projections one actually has to do, like what kind of menu calculations, what kind of operations, what kind of financial training one actually has to have, accounting training, and all those kind of things that can be combined in part of the learning groups that you want to actually write. Again, the content that you actually post has to be in a different way, like, because you need to make sure that the content is useful, is thought-provoking and engaging, and it should also kind of lead to your objective in terms of if you're doing this for sales, leads generation, and all those kind of things, right? So you can actually have different kinds of content and making sure that you are playing with this different kind of content, so you know that the the group members are not they basically have some or the other thing in terms of like making sure that they know that today's content is something different from tomorrow's content kind of thing, right? And obviously you can also schedule posts starting 2018, and Facebook rolled out, like you basically have the content that can actually go in, right? Again, making sure that the content that you're posting here is not generic, in the sense that it is very specific to that particular group, and at the same time the content, you need to make sure that it is like the most important content that you can think of on a group, whereas when it comes to a page, it is only your content and a little bit of maybe the user generated content. But in case of a group, it's all about the Facebook group user content that is generated, which actually has a far more value than your own content as a group owner, right? So you need to make sure that the content which is being generated, there are people, other people who are posting, and these posts obviously has to be, they have to be in line with your objective of creating like messages or content that could be well received by the members of the community, right? And then we talked about this one also, right, in the sense that, hey, if you have another group that you want to basically be interested in, it is something similar to like you as a Facebook page liking other Facebook pages, right? Here it's the same thing, in the sense that you want to have like a group to group linking, in the sense that, like, if you know, for example, a pizza group, like for example, would be interested in knowing all about kids party themes or something like that. So you might want to actually link it to that. And if you actually have a banquet hall along with your pizza party kind of a thing, then you are more likely to actually have traction, because end of the day we are saying that you have a banquet hall, and someone who actually has some party ideas about for kids birthday parties, you can join hands and kind of link these two groups up, right? um, so again, till recently we never actually, the groups are only part by individual members, and but recently they've actually added where Facebook pages can be part of the groups. And then if you as a restaurant owner is part of a group, for example, like say if you're part of a group which talks about all about happenings in the neighborhood area, like for example, or for a few of our restaurant clients, we have actually joined groups about moms in Dallas or moms in Plano or something like that, because we want to make sure that hey, this is like we are creating a group, or like that particular group would be interested in visiting our restaurant. They would be interested in knowing if we have any kids eat free coupons or some kind of a special, and that's one of the reasons why we've joined those kind of groups, right? And that segues to this particular right thing, in the sense that hey, creating a group and maintaining a group is pretty intensive work, in the sense from a content perspective. You have to generate the content, you have to moderate the content, you need to make sure that the right content is posted at the right time, right? But there's also another topic, in the sense that you can actually join other groups. And here again, you need to make sure that when you're joining the other groups, the same principles apply, in the sense that no hard sell. You should be part of that other group that you want to join, that you are willing to contribute for the betterment of that particular group, or for the betterment of the members of that particular group, right? You need to post some relevant content and all those kind of things. Like, for example, let's take a pizza restaurant joining a mom's group, right? So you do not want to actually say that, hey, come to my place because we have the best pizza in town, right? You might want to say that, hey, do you know that we actually have kids eat free on Tuesday evenings? That could be one post. Another post could be that, hey, do you know 8 ways to celebrate your birthday party, or birthday themes or something like that, right? Or something else about, hey, how do you want to celebrate your holidays, saying that, hey, do these things, maybe buy a gift card for your loved ones, go on a spa or something. Again, I'm just throwing some ideas in terms of like what kind of content can you post on the other groups if you are part of this one, right? And obviously as a restaurant owner, your primary aim is to make sure that you are posting some deals, some coupons, or you can also approach a group and say that, hey, if you say that, like, if you're part of this particular group, we're going to give like 10% discount to those group members, or we will donate 10% back as a fundraiser, and all those kind of things, right? Obviously that's the bottom line, is like you want to make sure that as a page owner you are building a relationship with the group admin, wherein you are posting some relevant content and all those kind of things. But at the same time, you also have a one-on-one relationship with the admin, so that in future, if you want to like launch something, a specific offer or a specific dish or something like that, right? And again, as a marketing person, you want to make sure that the group that you have joined or planning to join, the objectives meet their objectives, meet your objectives, in the sense that, like, hey, I'm joining a community club and it's all about posting about coupons or all those kind of things, right? So you need to make sure that whatever you are doing in terms of like the content wise, that is in line with your strategy, with your end goal, right? And at the same time, you need to make sure that you are also checking the competition and searching for other things which are happening in the neighborhood area. So this follows in the sense that, okay, based on the content that you're generating, and why is that you want to join a group, or what is that you need from from this particular group you're about to create and all those kind of things, right? So you need to make sure that you are asking questions to the right person or right team in order to get more insights and all those things, right? Um, Again, we can also use Facebook groups. We talked about like building awareness, engaging with them, and trying to get people. But at the same time, we can also use the Facebook groups to kind of engender loyalty, and obviously the reputation management comes into play in this one, right? Like, so let's take as a restaurant owner, you want to make sure that someone actually has a good experience, and that can be gauged from their reviews and all those things. But at the same time, you can also see if you can kind of push your clients towards loyalty programs or something that you might actually have, or something else which will actually make your customers to sign up for loyalty program. Again, obviously from a sale point of view and all those things, right? So you can actually post something on other pages where people are looking for deals, saying that, hey, if you become a loyal member for restaurants, you might get more deals. And then it kind of saying that right now this particular restaurant is doing this kind of a deal and all those kind of things, right? Obviously, we talked about, hey, it's not just the online relationships that you want to build, but also the offline relationships. We talked about how we can get people with craft beer come to your location if you build that relationship, and you can actually organize events, not just online but also offline kind of a thing, right? So in at a very high level, right, if you look at it, Facebook groups is, for lack of better words, it's kind of like it's an online community, but the lines between your online and offline is kind of getting blurred, because people are trying to kind of like create this cohesiveness between different groups and trying to figure out like, hey, because again, this boils down to the fact that, like, again, if you form a close-knit community, then you are more likely to refer this particular brand or something to others, because you feel that you are part of it, like a part of a group, and you want to make sure that the group succeeds, right? So that's in a nutshell, like, you basically have this group which has a very specific agenda, which is like, again, if you take Sweet Greens group, it's all about creating the wellness of the customer or the wellness of the person who's part of the group. And that can be done in multiple ways, in terms of like happy living, or maybe, hey, how about traveling together to some places, or eating right, or buying the right equipment and all those, buying the right products and all those kind of things, right? So again, just bear in mind, for a Facebook group, you need to make sure that you know what it takes to create a group from a content perspective, from a strategy perspective, and you need to make sure that you are constantly on top of these things, so that you can actually build relationships with the customers, and then become your actual, like, potential customers build relationships, they become your actual customers, they in turn, once they become a part of this Facebook group, they become brand advocates and start like inviting others to here, right? So that concludes basically today's webinar in terms of the Facebook groups. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to send us an email at marketing@mconnect.com. And if you want to learn more about mconnect, or what about our 4Q platform, or in general anything around restaurant marketing, you can always send us an email at marketing@mconnect.com, and we'll be more than happy to kind of like answer questions or anything like that. All right. Again, so this basically concludes the November's plan, and for next month, which is in November, we are planning to have a webinar around TikTok, given the rage that is going around and how TikTok can be used for restaurant marketing. So feel free to, again, we will be having articles around TikTok. You can actually look at our blog pages, also subscribe to our webinar links and all those kind of things. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us. Again, this is our email, and if you want to know more about the product or anything like that, we'll be more than happy to have a demo and all those kind of things. So again, this concludes our November's webinar. And thanks everyone for those who attended, and those who cannot make it. This one will be on our YouTube channel that you can actually look and then kind of like and then share the videos and then learn from this as well.